Right, so let's bring up some MOZA information here. Now, I'll bring up the website on the other screen in a moment, but we want to talk about this equipment, right? This bit of hardware that I'm going to show you, so we'll do it now, look. Hopefully this works and it doesn't break. There we go, brilliant. Right, so we'll hide me for the minute. So we're looking here at the MOZA. This is the AB9 base, it's force feedback, and on top is sitting the MH, or is it the FH? It's the MH16 Flightstick, all right? And we'll be plugging it in. We'll get to do all its stuff here now in a moment, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like. It is quite big, considering, to give you like a size analysis, here's an iPhone. That's the height of an iPhone beside the unit over here. It's quite a tall bit of kit. So putting it on top of your desk may not be a great idea because, well, you're going to have to reach up relatively high to get at the bits and bobs, all right? But anyway, we'll see what we can do. You thought I just pulled out a pickle. Wait, what? The MOZA AB9 base, it's equipped with a dual servo motors delivering a peak torque of 12 Nm. Offering precise dynamic feedback that simulates various conditions. What's Nm again, lads? Newton something, isn't it? Or newtons of torque. It simulates various flight conditions such as taxiing, takeoff, landing, and turbulence. Featuring our proprietary MCLS force feedback technology and high-resolution encoder, it provides an exceptionally accurate and immersive flight experience. Constructed from aviation-grade aluminium, or aluminum alloy, with a quiet, fanless design, it ensures durability and seamless operation. The MOZA Cockpit Control Software allows comprehensive customization and fine-tuning of all the settings. Compatible with the leading flight simulation games and supporting third-party flight sticks, the AB9 base is designed for versatility and reliability, making it perfect for enthusiasts and professional trainers. Now, this Newton meters, that's the one, thanks Paul. Naughty Murphys, yeah. Now, this kit here, lads, it retails on the MOZA website for €599. And you might be saying to yourself, that's up there. You're getting force feedback with this bit of kit, right? And how the whole thing is built, I'll go through some of the settings, but it has dual servo motors, which is giving you a lot of torque. I mean, this thing you'll really feel the movement of it. And with its proprietary MCLS force feedback technology, you've a lot of ways of when you feel the reactions and what the hardware is actually doing. This will jump around on an engine start. When the rotors are moving, it'll move. When you deploy the flaps and even the landing gear, it reacts to it. So it's very sensitive. What I love about this bit of hardware is you can change out the flight stick. So the flight stick that you see here, this is an additional add-on. It's an additional bit of kit. It's the MH16 Flightstick. We'll have a look at this in a moment. But if you have anything from Thrustmaster or even Virpil, well, they can plug straight into this base. And it's quite simple. We have a little release wheel underneath. Easy now. And it just pops off like that. So you're looking at the base there. And then if you want to have a look over here on the screen, you can see what actually connects it into the base itself. So Thrustmaster, Virpil, they all use these kind of connections, meaning that you just have to drop it in on place. Deadly handy, right? Now, we will have a closer look at all this, as I said, in a moment. Putting it on, well, you can see if an idiot like me can manage it, there's hope for anyone yet, right? You get that locked into place. And you can tighten all these up. They give you Allen keys and all this, but you can tighten it up. It doesn't have to go terribly tight. And that's it in play there now. All right. The software, we'll have a look there as well. The unit itself, this is heavy. This is proper heavy. It's all metal, right? And it weighs a considerable amount. The high resolution encoder, its own chip, it elevates the base ability to replicate flight dynamics. And that's where you're getting the accuracy when it comes from control input, rapid maneuvers, and even the likes of, you know, the flaps moving and also, you know, the gear and so on. It's compatible with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 24. It's even compatible for FlightSimX. Also, DCS, War Thunder, Star Citizen, IL-2, and X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12. It's also very quiet. When it's running, the only sound you'll really hear out of this, if it's on a table and it's shaking, that's really the only sound. Do you know? So when it comes to kind of getting everything set up, how it all works, right? We'll come back to me here now for a minute. I got to say, the presentation of this bit of kit was remarkable. It comes in a box, you see, a big box, and you know straight away from the quality of the packaging, right? I mean, from opening the box to seeing how everything is kind of packaged for you, instruction manuals, stickers, all the jazz. You even get a cover to put over the unit when you're not using it. So it's actually located in this MOZA Flight bag. And it's premium stuff, right? So the box, how it's presented, your initial reaction on this is going to be like, this is some serious kit, all right? When it comes to then the flight stick, again, the packaging on this is excellent. So this is the flight stick, right? And this is the one that I have mounted on the base itself. And again, I'll go through the prices of this. So the flight stick, if you're interested, they do 2 flight sticks at the moment. This is the larger of both. And well, to buy this gadget, let's go in here and have a now look. So the base is $5.99, and if we have a look at the flight stick, that's €189. Right, so you're up on the bones of what, 800 quid, give or take. All right, so it's not cheap. However, consider this: a force feedback base in a flight simulator, Brunner is about $2,000. The CL60 is about $1,000, and it's only a yoke. With a joystick, that gives you the advantage of flying the airliners, general aviation, fighter jets, and helicopters. If you consider a yoke, unless that's all you want to do, you're going to be limited when it comes to helicopters. And I got to say, having force feedback flying choppers, incredible, because you can feel the feedback, right? So same story again with the packaging. It's and like, you don't do I don't bother with unboxing. It's like, oh yeah, it looks nice. But like the quality of the packaging, it kind of speaks volumes about how good the gear is going to be. When we look about mounting options, as I said, I mean, it sits quite proud there on the desk, right? I mean, it's fairly, well, it's fairly substantial. The height of it is fairly substantial. And I said, it's roughly that of it's taller than an iPhone, right? So it's quite big. However, you do have some options when it comes to mounting the gadget, and you can buy this desk clamp, right? So it's called the base table clamp. And then this is €55. And again, the packaging is spot on. It weighs a ton, but this gives you all sorts of options on where and how to mount this. You can drill it in. It has a clamp underneath, so it'll sit in a desk. You can put the unit on the front or the top. It's entirely up to you. So even though the unit itself is quite, it's quite bulky, it is heavy, with this clamp, no problem whatsoever. If you have other desk clamps, it is compatible with other clamps, and you should have loads of fun with them. You know what I mean? So it's quite a heavy bit of kit, but it's quite remarkable, right? So we'll go in now and start looking at it. So when it comes to the degree of movement, so this is fully forward at the moment. So if we go fully back, and with the unit powered off, you can kind of feel the gears just as you're moving it with the unit off. Looking on the very top part of the stick here, so we actually have some nice decals here. We have the trim, we have weapons release, we have, the cameras and guns, and we also have nose wheel steering. There's a lot of buttons on this. There's a ton of buttons. And, we have a side button here. You have a two-stage trigger. We have a pinky button, and that's an axis, right? Small little button behind it, and then you have a little pinky button. You can also adjust the grip rest here on the side, so you can just move the wheels here, and this rises up. And then over on the left-hand side, where we have a number of different hat switches, we have a 3-stage, and listen to the sound. Really solid construction. This is all metal, by the way. The buttons are plastic, and everything works really well. It's super. Now, there's one thing I will have to say with this unit. This particular unit, see this button here, just the one I'm pointing at? This divil decided to pop off. It's spring-loaded, and it actually popped off. I was like, what the hell? Because the thing was rattling and shaking, so the force feedback actually forced that button to pop off, and out came the spring and the whole lot. Now, I could fix it, but it took a while to figure out what it was. I got onto MOZA, and they were like, no worries, send us the whole unit back, we'll give you something new. I was like, no, I said, like, surely there's a way to fix this. Like, it's a single button. They're like, no, if you're not happy, we'll give you a new base, there'll be no problem, or a new stick. I said, no, we'll try and fix it. So the smallest amount of glue, and it hasn't budged since. And I use this on my own sim rig, and there's probably about 20 hours gone into using this, and it's turned on full whack, so we're getting full response out of the equipment itself. Do you know what I mean? So let's look at the top down exclusively on this, and well, as you can see, it is quite big, and that's the noise of everything moving on my desk, because it is quite heavy, right? And you're not going to be able to pick this up and kind of run with it, right? It's quite heavy. But when you're looking at, you know, you can see all the leather in here, right? The entire frame of it, I mean, it is very pretty, lads. It's all highly polished. Underneath then you have a number of options on how you want to mount it. Don't mind the scratches, that's where I was trying to screw it from the other way around. But that's all very durable, it's all metal. You do have anti-slip pads underneath the unit. And well, you can see from all the holes, you have a ton of options to put these in. I'd say this weighs about 10 or 12 kilograms. It's heavy, right? Now, looking towards the front of the unit, well, we have a number of different options. Well, you can see the USB that's already plugged in. And then see the way we have options for up to 4 more devices. Well, MOZA are working on further flight sim equipment, and we should start seeing them coming into the fray relatively soon, right? And then we have our power DC input. That's going to plug in just here. And then we have a power button, all right? That's where your power is going to be. USB, you can take all of these out. That's just a simple, I don't know what they're called just for the USB stick, but it just means the unit can be completely left on its own. And if you also look at the front here, you have these kind of guide rails. That's for fitting into your clamp. So it actually slides and locks into place using a clamp. All right. Now, I've wires all over the shop, but don't worry. Gibbo, see that? That's a cable tidy look. I'll teach you about them later. Right. But anyway, let's have a look here now. So if we look at the side camera, before we start putting some life into this machine, and we will put life into this machine, we'll go over to this camera, and well, we're going to zoom in now and have a little look, because you can get right up close and personal to it. And hopefully this works well and, you know, it doesn't break. But hopefully you're getting an idea of the level of detail that are on the buttons, look, right? So if we zoom this guy back here a little bit, it's very, very pretty. They're very clear, and the textures on the buttons are superb. Now, you might be saying, right, see the 2 switches over here on the left-hand side? Yeah. This is actually, this entire unit on the side, this can be removed. We have a small little Allen key there that we can actually remove these buttons. Meaning, if you didn't want another hat switch or a 3-way switch, you can just remove that entire bit, and you're just left then with the main stick. Why I'm interested in this is, they're going to be releasing additional options for different switches and components that'll come out the side of that stick. Pretty nice, right? Pretty nice. And again, looking around the unit where you can see where all the buttons are, as I said, you have a ton of them, lads. You have an absolute ton of them. So this is where your adjuster is. The adjuster rather is here on the side. This is where you screw on and off the control itself. All right. This is your your pinky switch. You have another button just down here. Moving up, your trigger. It's a 2-stage trigger. So there's the first click, and then there's fully in. You have a switch over here on the right side. I tend to use that for kind of ATC calling. And then up on top then, well, this is where you can see just the detail on the little decals that you have. The trim, so this is it's a full hat switch and a click button. Nice button here. Again, hat switch. There's no click on, oh, there is a click on this guy as well. So you have all your directions plus a click in. This guy here is just a 3-stage. Moving down, we have a directional and a click. This guy is the same, all directions with a click. And then this guy just down here, same crack again, any direction and also a click. There's a lot of options when it comes to the amount of controls that you can have on this bit of hardware. Super, super nice. So what we're going to do, well, I'm going to start putting some power into the machine, look, and well, we'll see how it starts kind of reacting. So we'll go back to this camera, get it back in the frame there, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug the divel in, and then we're going to have a look at the software and then see how the equipment works, right? How are we getting on with the camera angles? Can you see everything clearly, lads? Because you want to see what camera's gone all over the shop, but hopefully it's giving you a good indication of how everything works, right? So I'm going to undo the cable tidy, and we're going to have an old gawk here, right? So standard USB connection. The cable you get with it, it's actually pretty long, right? It's pretty long. It's probably... It's 3 meters, I'd say, right? So it's pretty long. You're getting a fair bit of cable with this on the USB, but it looks like it's USB 2, so you can extend this as far as you like. You can plug it into extensions, all that sort of jazz, which that's what I'm going to do. So I have a little USB over here beside me, plug that in, and next up, I'm going to plug in its own power supply. Now, I can't show you the power supply because it's a big, heavy box. Again, it's like a... Do you remember the old Xbox power boxes? It's just like whatever... half a foot long, one of those. It's a standard power box, right? Now, when we plug this in, the noise of that on my table, listen, that wasn't me. We're going to plug this in. In you go. And now that's plugged in, we get our camera set back up here again, right? And don't mind the fact now that we have loads of wires gone all over the shop. Now, when I turn this on, there's actually a little switch located just up the front here, and this is going to power up the unit. So I'm going to turn it on, press and hold, give it a moment, and the stick is now moving itself. So it's synchronizing all its own gear. And you can't hear anything. There's no sound. You can't hear motors turn. It doesn't do any of that. So that's just synchronizing everything where it is. Yeah? Isn't that the coolest and maddest looking thing you've ever seen? Right? So the stick is now on, meaning that it's giving me resistance any way I'm now moving it. I can feel that resistance. It's now become heavy. And it pretty much stays where I put it. Isn't that mad? Right? So the motors are indeed turned on. Now what I'll do, I'll come over here to the software. So we'll jump position, lads. So let me see, if I come back to... You pressed the wrong button there, Murph. What did that do? That turned off a light. Turn back on the light. Go. And we'll come over to this camera over here. And I want to show you the software, right? You can do that without a button? Jesus. I keep breaking my microphone. Right, I'll show you the software, lads, right? We'll have an old gawk at this. So the MOZA software, very straightforward. It's plug and play. It really is plug and play. So when you turn it on and you connect everything, it will detect what you have running on the system. It knows straight away that the MH16 is connected, and it can see the base. And you're seeing the firmware version. When you buy one of these, you most likely have to update the firmware version. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to see, well, what sim or game is installed and what can it run. So telemetry service is connected, so it can already identify out of the box Flight Sim 2024. Super. You can also see DCS, Flight Sim 2020, X-Plane, Flight Sim X, Star Citizen, IL. They're all ready to go. And if you go into these, well, we can actually open up these for more options. Look, where is this now? That's update, configure. There's a way you can configure this. So, well, I can't show you these now because they're already configured. But let's say X-Plane. When you open up a new configuration, this is asking you, okay, you got to install the telemetry plugin. Usually it just says, where's the installation path of your your software? Where's your sim? Once you do that, it's done. You're good to go. It'll say it's configured to know what it is, and you're laughing. When you click then on the base, this opens up a world of options. A world of options. You can set different profiles. You can say, hey, this is going to be my new profile for a Cessna, or, you know, an airliner or a helicopter, whatever. You can go through all of this. You can also adjust the torque. You know, if you're worried that, you know, the power of the torque of this thing is going to be a little bit hard, a little bit rough in your wrists or your arms, well, you can dial it down and then see where you're comfortable with. Jesus. You can probably increase it from there or decrease it. It's up to you. There's also the spring loading, how strong of the spring is, inertia, friction. You get the idea. You get the idea. And there's various websites you can get, kind of really dial in your settings. But I would say have fun with it, right? Force feedback, telemetry, or it can be direct input. I keep everything on its default settings, and I'm getting a great experience out of it. Now, it's identified that I'm in a Cessna 172. If I jumped into a chopper, it will load in some different settings based on the feedback you would get from a chopper, right? Now, you can go into your expert settings. This is where you can really start working around with dead zones. Where do you want the centering to be? You can look at where all the telemetry comes in. So anything from ground effects, your seat buffet, if there's weapons being fired, the gear closing, even the canopy or hatch. If you close a door, that'll sense it and that'll give you a little shake. It's pretty mad what it can do, right? Speed brakes are going to be there. Turbulence, of course, is there. And then you have your propeller aircraft effects. So low idling. So when the aircraft is at a very low idle just before a stall, it'll shake. It'll do its thing.
That's a big 10-4, good buddy.
When you're using a helicopter, you'll feel the chopper go into an auto rotate because you're getting the feedback in the stick. And it's triggering, it triggers your mind to say, oh, we're in trouble here. Let's add in a little bit of collective. Do you know, Twarog, welcome in, my dude. Thank you so much indeed for the 7 months. The beauty about all the software, it comes with the device. So you don't have to go off and get third-party stuff. This is MOZA's own software, and it works beautifully. Jet aircraft, you can put the afterburner rumble in there. Like, you have a lot of options here. Then we can go in and tweak the axes travel. So we can restrict the travel, or at what stage do we not want feedback, right? The force of the axes, centering force if you want. So it'll always try and center it for you. And then we've got some special options over here. Hardware trim mode. Haven't messed with this, but again, it might be a little bit hard to see the menu I'm looking at. Hardware trim mode allows users to move the base trim center directly using buttons on the control stick. This function provides trim support for games that don't natively support force feedback. You have a ton of options, right? And that's just all within the base. If you go in and click on the stick, again, we have a couple of options. See the hat switch mode? We can put that in as a D-pad, or it can be a button. Entirely up to you. Yeah. So we can use the trim as a D-pad, or just use it as buttons up, down, left, or right. And again, you have options. You can see the Verpal Alpha is in there. There's a ton of stuff. All the buttons for the Verpal Alpha, if you want to be using that, you can do it all from within here. All right. And there's other sticks on the way from MOZA. They also have the rudder pedals. I haven't seen these yet, and also a throttle, which appears to be on the way. Again, I haven't seen any of this equipment, but you've already seen it on the hardware. You have a lot of stuff, a lot of options of adding up to 4 more devices to this, which is, it's really, really nice. So that's the software, right? So with the software and the sim is connected, well, I'm in a now Cessna 172, right? So we're going to resume this, and hopefully this all works, right? Let me see here now. So we're going to jump in, and by looking at what we're looking at here, let me see if I go to, it's probably better here because we'll probably see the camera over here anyway, lads. Yeah. I keep breaking this microphone. I should not be allowed to touch equipment at all. So let me see if I just disappear this for a moment, so you can see all the stuff there beside me, right? Now, is this going to be connected to the sim? Because you know the way the sim is. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So I probably need to turn on this controls. Let's see. So there's the MOZA. So there we go. There's the MOZA on. All right. So what I want to do, I want to keep your eyes on the equipment when I start up the engine and the sim. How's that for a plan? Yeah. If I just do a Control and E. See that? See the yoke moving? Now that's with the engine running, lads. But look at the vibration we have now just on that yoke. It's simulating just the prop moving. How cool is that? It's just shaking around. It's doing its own thing. And you can feel the force. You know, that's with the stick fully back. It's shaking around doing its thing. It's pretty awesome. If I increase the revs, this will shake more. So put this down. See the way it relaxes? And then back to idle. So it's really giving you the idea of that kind of rumbling. Yeah, so you know you're at a low idle, and the engine is running that little bit rough. Again, if I want to mess around with, say, flaps, you're getting that feedback through the stick on the flaps. It's like haptic feedback. It's just like one little motor going all at the same time, right? Now, if we want to throw air over the elevator, you'll feel it. So as it steadies, right, it doesn't stop. You're getting that vibration in it. And when you're moving the yoke, you're feeling resistance in any direction that you're moving it, especially at a high rev. So you are feeling it. You're feeling it across the way, right? So let me see. If I get ourselves airborne here, and let's see what happens, right? This will probably freak out for a minute. See the stick moving? As I'm moving this aircraft, isn't that nuts? It's scary is what it is. Right. Let's try and level out the plane here as I'm flying beside me. So far so good. So let's see about trim. So I'm trying to trim upwards. Okay. So it doesn't do what you would expect from, say, a yoke. It does take the pressure off, but it doesn't seem to hold the joystick in that trimmed position. It does remove a lot of the force. I mean, it's way harder to push forward than it is to pull back. Yeah. But even flying, as everything's moving, as I'm turning, I'm feeling that resistance. If I turn to the right, it's trying to push me back left. Right? And then in a stall, right? Let's check out what a stall will do. So it should give me the buffet of the wing shaking, right? So I'll try and hold it as loosely as I can. You see it shaking there, and like it's proper gear, like you can feel it move. And the gas thing is, I mean, you can absolutely change all of these settings. You have a lot of control when it comes to changing all the settings. You can make this as gentle as you like, or you can make it as friggin' rough. So let's change it to a chopper, right? Just to show you what the differences are with a chopper, right? And again, it'll load in a profile, or at least it should load in the profile. Let's look at a helicopter here. We'll go with the 125 and put it at the same airport. What was that? KTN? That shakes as now knows I'm in a chopper. So this reacts when you're in a chopper because it's like it's calibrating here in the background. And if I go back into the MOZA software, right? It's saying now D-pad. Where is it going to look at the chopper? Basic settings. So it's still loaded into a 172. There's an option over here on this screen, lads, right? An option just over here. And I can change that now to a Bell 407. So it's an automatic profile switcher, right? We're going to horse that in, back into the sim, flight conditions, just make it kind of daytime here. And now let's have a look what it can do when it comes to a chopper. So with that loading up, again, it's doing its shaking and it's rattling. It can put you off because it's sensing the sim. I don't know, like, do Microsoft or Servo need to do something where like this is just completely relaxed until you're actually in the aircraft and sitting. It was the same problem if you remember with the Toby. You were able to move your Toby in the main menu and it would just throw you all over the freaking shop. It was quite uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Flying ducks, good to see you, ducks. Now let's see what the chopper's going to do. So in a chopper, you can see now, right? The feeling on this is so very, very different, right? Let's just make sure this is all working. So, got your controls dialed in. MOZA Base. Go. Now, because I'm in a chopper, lads, this has become way more tighter. I'm only barely able to move this stick now because, well, it's looking at a chopper, right? So, Jesus, how do we fly this, Murph? We're up there now anyway, we see what happens. And again, I can feel where the bite is. Now, I've no rudder input because I can't reach my rudders. See the shake? And if I put the rotors down, look, see that shake getting bigger and bigger and bigger? So the hardware is detecting the wind effectively. That's what it's doing, right? How cool is that? And you can see how precise it is in a chopper. You're feeling the input on your hand. So if the aircraft is trying to do one thing, or perhaps the environment is trying to do something else, it's trying to throw you left or right. Now let's see if we put it into like auto rotate, right? Hold it up there now. And we should be getting a ton of buffeting coming in. And we are. See that? See it shake? It's incredible. Because you're actually feeling a real heavy going through them controls. Which is just, it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I mean, the options that we have with this equipment, it's not cheap, but bearing in mind, this is a force feedback setup that is compatible with your Thrustmaster and your Whirlpool sticks. Their own stick is actually very good, the MH16, bar one little issue I had with the spring, but their customer support, they were bang on. They were like, send it back, we'll get you a new one. No worries at all. I was quite impressed by that. Everything from the presentation to how everything's set out, the cabling, the build quality, it feels real. It feels what you would expect to find in an aircraft. And when you have force feedback on with a joystick, there's nothing self-centering here. Just like the real aircraft. I mean, most of them, they'll always dip the nose down because that's the weight on the control, right? It just feels real. It's a great bit of kit. You know, $600 for the base, another 200 if you like for the stick. If you already have a stick, it's going to work on it no problem. I really like the stick that comes with this, so much so I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with the stick. Did you see what I did there, lads? Jesus Murph, that was brilliant. But you know what I mean? What do you think, lads? Are you impressed? I'm sure you've seen it and you were probably thinking, you know, is this thing any good? Well, hopefully you have a clearer understanding now that, well, it is big. Of course it's big. But you have all these options for mounting it. It's very heavy as well. I mean, you'll have a job trying to move this. It lifts slightly there, but that's like force feedback is turned on, you know. Can you add extensions to replicate a full cyclic? Unsure, but like to replicate a full cyclic, this is giving you all the normal axes of travel. Yeah. I'm sure you can add, well, like, let's see what MOZA, let's see what else they bring to the table, because you have all these options over here. Look, they're going to be adding options for all these device 1 to 4. Yeah. So you're gonna be getting options along the road on this soon, lads. Do you know what I mean? So we'll ramble over. Do you like me camera setup? I did brilliant, right? Been ages trying to set this one up. I've one on back order. Womby, good to see you, mate. Right, I'll come over here then, right? Because I want to show you then. We'll have a look at the website. And let's see what I can do here. Why does that thing keep loosening? Lads, remind me later on to completely fix my microphone because I may have broken it. Oh, Jesus, the whole thing's come off. Don't panic. We're going to check out their website here, right? Why is that gone loose? Something's going to fall. And I don't know what it is. No, that's not right. Tighten that one. Is. Right, hopefully that doesn't fall. Remind me to tighten that now in a moment. If we have a look at their website, let me see here now. So we'll go to over here. So this is the MOZA website, and it's just mozaracing.com. They do all the bundles, right? They do racing. They've also added in all the new truck stuff, which looks incredible, right? But anyway, you can see they have more stuff on the way. More stuff is on the way, and you can see an Airbus one there as well. So let's look at the MOZA base. So it retails at €599. It talks all about the equipment, how it's built, how does it work, all about the software, and you just saw the software. The software is really good. Aviation grade materials, the high resolution encoder, and do you know what I love about it? It's the fact that you can customize it. You can just dial in all your own settings, and the fact that it's an open ecosystem. These are the different options with that mount. So you can see it. The desk, on top of the desk, on a chair, standalone. So you have some options there, yeah? Endured millions of tests, so they say. So let's have a look then at the different sticks. So flight, and here we have with the stick, right? So this is the MH16, $189. This is the one, 189 euros. This is the one that I was showing off. It's really nice. You have the option. You can even get the access module. It's an additional, it's like an extender that makes the thing up an awful lot higher. Might be better off if you have, if it's mounted on your seat, perhaps, right? It's detachable modular components. So I reckon they're going to be adding more stuff to this. So that's what they mean by detachable. See the way you can take off that bit on the side? So I'm hoping MOZA are going to come along with more options for us. You know? 30 input symbols, like 30 of them. You know what I mean? And it is very much plug and play. The website contains all the manuals if you need them. Some of the other ones, so the M16, if you have a look at the MA3X, this looks to be very close to an Airbus. Is this on back order, I think? Classic design, it's very Airbusy, isn't it? Authentic feel. Advanced materials. The same crack again. You got another hat switch up here, single button there. The stick is capable of withstanding impacts of 30 kilograms. Right? So let's go back into this. So the prices, right? The access module, that's 89 quid. The other stick, that smaller side stick, the one that looks like Airbus, that's only $89. And then they have like an emergency stop switch if you need it. And then you have the table clamp, and then you have the flight base mount adapter. That's for a throttle that's up and coming. So MOZA are definitely putting the right foot forward here, lads. It's giving you force feedback into your sim. If you've never used force feedback in a sim, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And the fact that you can get it now on a joystick rather than just a yoke, you have a lot of options. You can go the airliner route, you can go choppers, you can go jets and GA. You have all those options. If you're getting a yoke, you're kind of limited to your airliners and most of your general aviation. Choppers, not ideal with a yoke. You know what I mean? So yeah, 79 for Airbus, 550 for the base. Yeah, so I'm priced in euro, 599 euro for the base and 89 for an Airbus one.